We are learning the Sefer Pituchei Chotam from Rabbi Yakob Abuchazira or Abu Chatzaira on Parshas Hashavua this week, Parshas Shoftim. This is a game changer. This vart is a different way to look at. We're going to get to davening at the end of davening, the second bracha of Shemona Esrei, of Tchias HaMesim, of the Koiches HaTumah in the world. Let's get started. Let's read the Chumash, the Devarim Yirches, Pasuk Tes, through Pasuk Yirgim. Ki ata bo el ha'aretz. When you're going to come into the land of Eretz Yisrael, Asher Hashem alekecha noisein lach, that Hashem will give to you. Lo yisilmad. So Moshe comes and warns us. Lo yisilmad lasas ketoyevas hagayim mahem. Do not learn. Don't imitate the toyavas, the abhorrent practices of the nations that you're going to be living amongst. Moshe's word when you're going to come to Eretz Yisrael, you're going to learn from the Goyim. And now he specifies a bunch of things he doesn't want you to do. And that includes a terrible avodah zarah, a terrible pagan practice of people would give their sons or daughters into fire. Kaisam, kesamim, magicians, ma'oinen, menachesh, mechashev, different type of witchcraft and sorcery. V'chayver chaver, v'shel oiv different ways of accessing dead people. V'der shel hamesim. Ki toyavas Hashem kol eisei, these are abominable. Takadosh Baruch Hu. Because of these things, Hashem lakacha meirish oisam mipanacha. That's why Hakadosh Baruch Hu is throwing them out of the land of Israel. So don't do that, says Moshe. Very concerned. Rather, tamim tiya im Hashem lakacha. Be tamim, be complete, be wholehearted, be perfect, be tamim with Hashem lakacha, Hashem your God. Why specifically is Moshe concerned about these things? Specifically when you come into the land of Eretz Yisrael. Why specifically? These are the things they should be concerned. Okay, because that's what they were doing there. So Rabbi Yaakov tells us that the Aretz, the land, refers to Shechina. When you're coming into Eretz Yisrael is a place of Hashras Shechina. And therefore when you're coming there specifically, you got to be extra careful. Not to drive out the Shechina from Eretz Yisrael. More than that, there's something in the world called Koiches HaTumah, impure energies, as opposed to Kedusha. Now, these impure Koiches get their strength from Kedusha. We've discussed this when we do an Aveira, when we don't do a mitzvah. So these parasites, these Koiches HaTumah, cleave. What their energy source is, it stems from something Kaddish, something holy, and they capture it. And they get their nourishment from this Kedusha. And by us doing mitzvahs and learning Torah and davening, we're able to get that trapped Kedusha from the Koich Tumah. You know what happens then? The Tumah disappears. The Koich of Tumah disappears. That's what happens in the future. The Navi tells us, Bila hamaves lanetzach. He will destroy death forever. Death is synonymous with the Koiches HaTumah. Because when we do mitzvahs, and ultimately when Mashiach comes, and the Shechina is going to be all out there, then Bila Hamavis Lanetzach, death will be gone forever. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about these Koiches HaTumah. How many are there? So there are actually the Eitz Chaim, the Rizal teaches that there is 11. The big number 11. So I want to talk about the number 11 a little bit, as Rabbi Yaakov does, and I will elaborate a little bit on some information I learned from a book called Jewish Wisdom in Numbers by Asher Chaim Levine and Rabbi Shua Hartman. Fascinating book, goes through all the numbers. So let's discuss first the number 10. 10 is shleimus, is perfection. You have all the numbers going up to 10. 10 is taking all that singularity, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then coming together, then completion, that's 10. It's temimus, it's perfection. That's why there are Sarah Mamaris that the world was created with, and then there are Sarah Hadibros. That's 10. A yud. A yud is a little dot. You can't really mess up a dot. There's a tamimus to the number 10. So what's 11? Comes 11 and is trying to add. You know what happens when you add to perfection? You actually end up with imperfection. Okay? The number 11 is achad asar. It's 10 plus 1. That's how we say it in Hebrew. Achad asar. You have 10, you have shleimus, you have completion, you have something that's complete, perfect, and you're trying to add to it. That's achad asar. The Torah refers to number 11 as ashtei asar. Well, shtei asar means 12. Ashtei asar is 11, which is phenomenal. Because by adding a letter, we went down a number. And the Gemara learns from here a rule called kol hamoisef gaireya. When you add on, you actually detract. We added on the letter ayin, and we detracted from the value of the word. It was 12, and now it's 11. Ashtei asar. So 11 is the idea of trying to add when it's not necessary. And your adding actually decreases. Esav symbolizes the number 11. Esav came out all hairy. Hair is something which is really superfluous, something we actually need. Superfluous. It's extra. Esav is the one who says, Yesh li Rav. I have a lot. Yaakov, who is the Tamim, the Yeshiv Tam, he's complete. What does he say? He says, Yesh li Kol, I got everything. Everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me is exactly what I need. Esav, it says, Yesh li Rav, I'm always looking for more. I have a lot, but I'm looking for more. That's 11. The beginning of Devarim begins with 11 the traveling of the Bnei Yisrael in the Midbar, and they went through Har Seir, Esav's place, Edom, through 11 travels. That's the number 11. The Eitz Chaim here tells us that there's another 11. There was 11 Urias Izim. The Mishkan had a cover, and on top of that cover was another cover. And that was the Urias Izim. It was a cover to a cover. Real chitzonias, real something that's really external. That was symbolized by 11. In Parshas Kisavai, there are curses. How many curses? 11 curses. Arurim. That's 11. That's the number 11. The Koichas HaTumah are symbolized by the number 11. What are we looking to do? We are looking to, be mesaken that 11. And the way we do that is by another 11, and that's the Ketores. The Ketores had 11 samimanim. The 10 were wonderful smelling things, and the 11th was the Chelbina. The Chelbina was a foul smelling thing that had to be included. Because the way you have to deal with a Rasha, the Chelbina signifies the Averis and the Rishos, we have to bring it back into the 10. We got to bring it back in. That's how we're Mesakin. Bring it into Kedusha. When we're Mesakin everything, what we're left with, we get rid of death, and we're left with Kedusha. So let's go back to this pasuk and learn it again. Says Rabbi Yaakov. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us. Ki ata ba'a la'aretz. When you come to the land, and the land refers to the Shechina. So you have a job ahead of you. And I'm very concerned that you don't get sucked in, says Moshe Rabbeinu to Klal Yisrael, into the Koichas HaTumah. Because you have a job. When you're dealing with Shechina, you have to elevate. You have to elevate, not to Chas V'Shalom bring more Tumah to the world. Ki ata ba'a la'aretz. You have to be very careful to make sure you don't perform any acts of using Koichas HaTumah. Now guess how many Koichas HaTumah, guess how many things the Torah relates here. You got it. 11. Ma'avir b'nai b'toig ba'esh, koisan, kesamim, it's in plural. Ma'oinin, menachesh, mechashev, v'choyver, chover, she'el oiv, yedoni, and der shel hamisa. So Moshe comes and tells you when you're coming to land, we're looking to elevate, bring the Shechina out. We're not looking Chas V'Shalom to bring more to Koichas HaTumah. So he warns us about these 11 Koichas HaTumah. And he says, be very careful. Ki toyavas Hashem kol ha'isa. It's abominable. Now the Onkelos, says Rabbi Yaakov, translates the word toyavas. as merchak, distance. Because when you get involved in koichas hatuma, negative energy, what that does is it creates a distance between you and Hashem. That creates a merchak, a distance. And what it does is it takes the kedusha and the kedusha gets sucked into the tumah. And it creates this tremendous distance. So what's the eitzah? How do we get around that? So Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, Tomim tiyah im Hashem Elokecha. What you have to do is be tom, you have to be perfect. Don't look for the extra 11 into the koichas hatumah. There needs to be tmimus. You have to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu wholeheartedly, not being derish al mason, not doing looking as Rashi says, being derish as asidus. Tom tiyah im Hashem Elokecha. Fakir, take the koichas hatumah, bring him in to you. Bring him into you with Hashem Elokecha. Says Rabbi Yaakov, another way to look at this pasuk. Another way to fight the koichas hatumah. Something we can apply, we can think about. Because again, what happens to the kedusha, when it gets absorbed into the tumah? It's lost, it's dead. And we're looking to be machai, to bring it back to life. We look at our life sometimes, we feel so devoid, we feel so dead. We feel like we're sunk in negativity. We're looking for a way to bring back life, to be machai mason, to get to get out of death, to get out of the negativity. Says Rabbi Yaakov, look at these first two words, tamim tihiyah. The word tamim, if you rearrange the letters, you get mason. And there are five ways we pronounce words. He maitzas hapeh. 5 different ways we use our mouth to use different letters. And the letters that are similar, you're able to interchange. So a zayin, and a sin, and a saf, and a samach, those are all, from the top of your mouth. Then you have guttural sounds, like a hey, or a chat. That's a Sephardic way of saying ches. I apologize for my Ashkenazi ivra. But a ches and a hey they're guttural sounds. And therefore he says they could be interchanged. So we could take our hey here and change it to a ches, and all of a sudden we have a word, mesim techaya. Mesim techaya. You want to be Machaya Mason. You want to bring back all the kedusha that got sucked up into the negativity of these 11 koichas hatumah. How do you do that? Im Hashem Elokecha. You got to bring God into your life. That's where you're Machaya Mason. By bringing Kadosh Baruch Hu in to the koichas, not to the koichas hatumah, but focusing on Avodas Hashem. And if we do that, then we live with Kadosh Baruch Hu, this Tchias HaMesim. A new appreciation of the second bracha in Shemona Esrei. V'nemanata HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem you, v'nemanata, l'hacha yois meisim. It doesn't just mean bringing back the dead, but all the dead, the negativity that's in our lives, we're looking to bring back. So, Ki'atuk ba'al ha'aretz, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, says Rabbi Yaakov, when we're coming to the land, when we're looking for the Shechina, we have to be tamim tiyah Hashem Elokecha. Find ways to bring Kadosh Baruch Hu into our life, and that'll be machaya our mesim.